The second missionary journey of Paul is a cornerstone event in the spread of Christianity in the first century, marking a significant expansion of the faith beyond its Jewish roots into the Greco-Roman world. This journey, which took place approximately between AD 49 and AD 51, is meticulously recorded in the Acts of the Apostles. Over the course of these 2 years, Paul, accompanied by Silas, Timothy, and later by Luke, embarked on a mission that covered roughly 2,800 miles across varied terrains and seas of the ancient world. Below is a sequential account of the places Paul visited during his second missionary endeavor, highlighting the path of what would become one of the most influential missionary journeys in Christian history. The Jerusalem Council. The Council's decision was a turning point, affirming that non-Jewish converts to Christianity could be full members of the Christian community through faith in Jesus Christ without undergoing circumcision. This inclusive stance allowed Christianity to expand beyond its Jewish roots, embracing a global mission. Antioch in Syria. Positioned at the crossroads of several trade routes, its strategic location facilitated Paul's travels across the Roman Empire. Following the pivotal Jerusalem Council, Antioch became the center from which the message of non-Jewish converts' inclusion in Christianity, without the need for circumcision, was propagated. The disagreement between Paul and Barnabas over John Mark led to their separation. Paul chose Silas as his companion. As Paul and Silas set out from Antioch, they carried the mandate to foster a Christian identity that transcended ethnic and cultural boundaries. Syria and Cilicia. After the Jerusalem Council, Paul and Silas visited Syria and Cilicia to enforce the council's decision that non-Jewish Christians were not required to follow Jewish customs. Iconium. In Iconium, part of the Roman province of Galatia, Paul's teachings attracted both Jews and Greeks, leading to a divided response. While many embraced the Christian faith, others opposed Paul vehemently. The opposition culminated in a plot to harm Paul and his companions, prompting them to flee to Lystra and Derbe for safety. Derbe and Lystra, the inclusion of Timothy from Lystra was a pivotal moment. Paul and Silas's efforts to strengthen the believers resulted in significant growth of the Christian communities. Tros, Samothrace. Neapolis. In Troas, Paul receives a vision of a man from Macedonia pleading for help. Immediately, Paul and his companions set sail for Macedonia. Neapolis, bustling with trade and travelers, offered the first European audience for their proclamation of the gospel. Philippi. Philippi stands out for its significant impact on the spread of Christianity in Europe. Philippi was a major city in Macedonia and a Roman colony. The key events during this visit include: Lydia, a merchant of purple cloth, becomes the first recorded convert to Christianity in Europe after Paul's preaching. Paul exercises a spirit of divination from a slave girl, leading to a loss of income for her owners and escalating tensions with local authorities. Following their arrest for disrupting the city and advocating illegal customs, Paul and Silas are beaten and imprisoned. A miraculous earthquake frees them, leading to the conversion of the jailer and his family, demonstrating God's power and the resilience of his messengers. Paul then asserts his Roman citizenship, resulting in an apology from the magistrates, who then request their departure from Philippi. Before leaving, Paul and Silas encouraged the newly formed Christian community at Lydia's house. Amphipolis and Apollonia. These locations served as brief waypoints en route to Thessalonica. In Thessalonica, engaging the local synagogue, for 3 Sabbaths, Paul preached Jesus as the Christ, leading to the conversion of some Jews and a number of God-fearing Greeks. However, opposition from some Jewish community members escalated, resulting in a mob storming the house of Jason, a local believer who had hosted Paul. Accused of upsetting the social order and proclaiming Jesus as king over Caesar, Paul and Silas were forced to leave the city under cover of night, moving on to Berea. In Berea, a city in Macedonia, the Bereans were commended for their eagerness in receiving the message and their diligence in examining the scriptures daily to verify Paul's teachings. In Athens, he engaged the city's intellectual elite by preaching at the Areopagus, a significant cultural and philosophical center. He presented the Christian gospel using the context of local beliefs, referencing an altar to an unknown God to introduce the concept of the one true God. This approach led to varied reactions. In Corinth, a key city of the Roman Empire known for its bustling trade and diverse population, Paul spent a significant period, about 18 months. Here, he worked as a tent maker alongside Aquila and Priscilla, fellow Jews recently expelled from Rome. In Corinth, Paul focused on preaching to both Jews and Gentiles, facing opposition, but also achieving considerable success in establishing a strong Christian community. His time in Corinth was marked by the writing of 1 and 2 Thessalonians, letters to the church in Thessalonica. This stay culminated in a confrontation with local Jewish leaders who brought Paul before the Roman proconsul Gallio, who dismissed the charges, allowing Paul to continue his ministry. In Centra, the eastern port of Corinth, Paul prepared for his return journey to Antioch. Before departing, he took a vow signifying a personal commitment or thanksgiving, which involved cutting his hair. In Ephesus, during the tail end of Paul's second missionary journey, he made a brief stop in this key commercial and religious center of Asia Minor. Paul took the opportunity to preach in the synagogue, sparking interest among the Jews there. He promised to return if it was God's will, leaving behind Priscilla and Aquila to continue the work he had started. In Caesarea, marking his return from the second missionary journey, Paul landed at this major port city, an administrative center of Roman Judea. Although the account of his visit here is brief, Caesarea represented a pivotal point in Paul's missionary activities, serving as a gateway between his missionary endeavors in Asia Minor and Greece and his return to the early Christian communities in Jerusalem and Antioch. Jerusalem. Brief visit to greet the church. Paul and his companions observed Passover as planned. Finally, they returned to Antioch, marking the end of the journey.